Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the National Guard Products 897N DKB. The 897 is representative of the profile of this threshold, the dimensional properties really. The N in the part number is a reference to the insert of this bumper type threshold. N would stand for a thermoplastic type material, a high grade, high performance piece of insert. Optionally, you could do a S for silicone or a P for pile, which would be a short little, you wouldn't say bristle, it would be a very short, some people will call it a mohair, but a very soft pile material that would be normally seen inserted into the vertical edge of an aluminum storefront door. You can also do a V for a vinyl insert as well. The advantages and disadvantages of all of those inserts could be summarized as vinyl is when you would want the least expensive possible, foregoing performance for cost. Vinyl is poor in all instances when compared to the much more durable thermoplastic material, which will have a longer lasting installation expectation. It'll be far more adaptable to handling exposure to ultraviolet, extreme temperatures, things of that nature. Silicone would be exceptional if you have maybe an extreme temperature scenario. It might be a door where the interior temperature, let's say it's on a rooftop and you've got some sheds that are literally built on the rooftop for utility, electric, some sort of machinery inherent in the operation of the building where temperatures on the inside are north of 100 degrees. Silicone's great because it'll handle those temperatures easily and remain flexible. Pile is when you want something quite soft and quite flexible and would give you the ability to seal with little to no impact on the door actually closing and latching. Vinyl will be stiff. This thermoplastic is also relatively rigid as well. Silicone will be much more pliable. And pile, of course, will give almost no resistance to, let's say, a door closer closing the door. With something more rigid like the thermoplastic or the N insert or the vinyl insert, you're going to need to make sure that you're not asking the door closer to compress that so much that the door closer can now actually not latch the door. So your installation will have to be very ideal for this. In-swing or outswing, you can see this installed really in either sort of application, but an outswing is pretty common. If you're going to use this in an outswing application, don't forego the door sweep just because you've got this bumper seal. A door sweep installed out here where it can dovetail to the, or mate to the face of the threshold itself is really where you want your primary line of defense. Stop the intrusion of the elements out here, and this is your, let's say, belt and then suspenders. If it's an in-swing, obviously you're going to be dealing with this insert here, which is good, but I really wouldn't want rainwater hitting the top of this insert and then being able to possibly work its way in. I might be very agreeable to adding an automatic door bottom on the outside of here because you've got this flat plateau that it can seal against. So you're stopping it here and then here as well. Okay. The DKB in the part number means dark bronze, as you can see. If you omit that and just go with an 897N, you'll get a mill aluminum finish. Now the 897 is representative of these dimensional properties, and let's go over that now. You have in the image down below this video that shows those dimensional properties a 4-inch width, which would probably be very common for an aluminum storefront installation in terms of a smaller width on the threshold versus a 5 3/4 or bigger hollow metal frame. However, in aluminum storefront, you really don't see such a tall threshold or a bump-up threshold at all. This might work out very well if you're doing an exterior door that swings out and you've got 4 3/4 jam depth frames. Something like this might work out really well for you. And the reason I say that is because you've got a 1/2 of an inch here And the standard undercut on hollow metal doors is 3/4 inch, so this would be ideal, and it will then give you 1 inch overall height. And sure, that's a little bit taller than maybe some thresholds are, and maybe taller than what you want to have on your application. However, if you want to bump up, you're going to have to not only, contend with the undercut of the door that you're dealing with, but then rise tall enough to give you something to bump up against. So in a lot of circumstances, this is quite ideal. And I think it would be quite ideal in a circumstance where you had, say, a pair of doors that are emergency exit only, rarely if ever used, swing out, sealed, sweeps on the outside, bump up on the inside, not handicap compliant required, because this would certainly not be handicap compliant because of its overall height. Okay. Other than that, it's a very nice threshold, certainly. You could certainly run a bead of caulk down in here, fill that profile to the extrusion, and then set that down. Listed in the website in lots of different lengths, everything from 2 foot to 8 foot, and you can order thresholds longer than 8 foot. Just reach out to us for that. We don't list those because the cost to ship something longer than 8 foot is generally prohibitive if you need just 1 or 2 pieces. But if you need a large quantity, the cost of common carrier shipping because of the length is generally not a problem. If you have need for a custom length, by all means let us know by ordering the next longest piece or pieces, and simply indicate in the comment field the net length you'd like for us to cut the material back to. Now this happens to be a 30-inch piece, and it's exactly what the client wanted, because the other option was a 3-foot piece, where he would have cut 6 inches off and then eliminated that first countersink. So in this scenario, this is what it looks like when someone says, well, yeah, I can take the 3-foot piece and cut it down. The problem is you're going to eliminate a countersink. They won't be synchronous going down the length of the threshold as well. And speaking of that, those holes, screws are included. They look like they're a 10 by inch and 3/4 or so Phillips sheet metal type screw. And really anchoring is the key to getting it a long-lasting, secure sort of installation. You'll always want to be sure that you're anchoring it properly, and if you did cut it down, you want to be sure that you can accommodate the need to dimple or countersink that, which would be another advantage of ordering a net length, because we'll cut it to length, give you that first hole at the proper distance from the edge, the proper centers running down, but also it'll be dimpled or countersunk, and that would work out very well. Now there's a link below this video to a document called Product Brochure, where you can review this and all of National Guard products' sister items to this bump up style threshold. Varieties of widths and then heights. The 897 with the half and then 1 inch is indeed a very common size. But before you determine that this is the appropriate one, familiarize yourself with that document, because frankly, the item as seen on page 2, the 884, is a very common threshold for a bump up style. Very common, in fact. So you might want to review that in terms of it being a little bit wider and not quite 1 inch overall height. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page, where you can pull up not only all of the National Guard products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the National Guard 897N DKB dark bronze anodized bump up or bumper seal type threshold, or any other National Guard product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.